So
Yep.
we'll move on to our next movie, which is the Film Noir segment, which you could go to our website at realfilmsnobs.com. We've only got a couple more of these left, and then we'll be moving on to a new list. And this week's Film Noir is Niagara, starring Marilyn Monroe and Joseph Cotton as a married couple who go on a trip, and then, how
do
should
they
we
go?
say it? They go to Niagara Falls,
okay.
believe it or not. It's amazing because of the title. And next door to them are sort of a happy, average American couple that are going on a belated honeymoon. And they start to see that something is not quite right about this marriage between Marilyn Monroe and Joseph Cotton. I don't want to give any more away than that because it is a mystery, and it's got a big sort of twist in the middle, and so I don't want to give away anything with that. But it's very interesting for the same. You got to see this movie just for Marilyn Monroe walks out in this one scene to put on a record, to put on a steamy record on the record player. She's wearing a skin-tight red dress. And if that isn't a movie star, I don't know what is. I mean, people talk about movie stars. So that is a movie star when you see her in that moment. And I'm not like a huge Marilyn Monroe fan one way or another necessarily, but she has a screen presence that you can't deny. And she's quite good in this movie too. And Joseph Cotton as well as sort of the tortured man.
That dress moves in all kinds of new ways. But, you know, the real tragedy of the film here is this could have been Joseph Cotton's movie. This should have been Joseph Cotton's movie. He's fantastic in what scenes that he has in this film. He's a menacing, well, I won't give away too much of it, but, you know, his presence is, he's a great actor. And I was really excited to see him in this film. But the average American couple that you talk about there in the belated honeymoon, they're, you know, it's... everyone's blown off the screen once Marilyn Monroe comes in. I mean, she just really takes over everything. And it isn't obviously through, you know, loud gestures or whatever. It's just the way she talks. It's just the way she walks. It's just the way she moves. And even when she leaves, the movie you still feel her presence. I mean, this is star power. Now, I know I've gotten a lot of flack lately for the Audrey Hepburn, and here we go again. This is what we call by a movie star. This is someone who graces the screen. Obviously, she's very attractive, but this is someone who's star wattage. I mean, she could eat cornflakes, and it would be fascinating and sexual. Somehow, I don't know how she would, ooh, whenever she would do that, but whenever she speaks, you watch her mouth and the way she over-enunciates and is just a little out of breath with everything. I mean, she just draws you in.
Well, and she's sort of menacing in this movie, which I thought was kind of an interesting twist for her character. There's this scene, very sexy scene, where she's in bed and she rolls over to grab a cigarette. And it's just like, wow, that was amazing. She doesn't really even
Lucky
say anything.
cigarette.
But it's a great scene. And poor Joseph Cotton just is so outnumbered almost in a way in the movie. Although his character is really good. I wish they could have just cut out the happy American. I mean, it's 1953, so they had to present this other side to the seedy side. You know, Marilyn Monroe and Joseph Cotton are supposed to be portraying, you know, the dark, seedy side of America. He's a troubled war vet, and she's apparently just a promiscuous woman who likes to wear tight red dresses and listen to music. And
God bless
and,
her.
and they're like these people out of a bad TV commercial. I wasn't sure if the director was going for irony with them or not, because it's a 50s, so you're not quite sure. But they're awful. I mean, the man especially was not a very good actor, and they're just so cheesy that it was almost distracting.
I think
for
they're just a
noir.
little over the top is what that was. But, you know, but then the film makes some fantastic choices there towards the end. There's the tower scene. I don't want to give too much away, but that tower scene is absolutely amazing, showing everything without showing anything. You have to see it but that's just an incredible scene. Now, this has been since December since I saw this film, and I remember that clearly. I can remember that very well. I also remember her turning over for the cigarette when she said that. Yeah, that was a really good scene. That was a good cigarette.
Yeah, good cigarette. Good advertisement for smoking.
I don't think she used a lighter. It just ignited.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's just...
Because she was in bed with it, so.
Yeah, everyone who saw that on the big screen, I mean, here comes a movie star. Look out. I mean, this
yeah,
is
there's no question about it,
She's
for
taken
sure.
over. Wow.
It's amazing. So we'll move on to our next movie, which is The List, which you can find on our website at realfilmsnobs.com. And this is the list of movies that we're going through that are buried treasures. So these are very difficult to find movies. And the next movie is called The Reckless Moment from 1948. Joan Bennett plays a mother trying desperately to protect her teenage daughter, who has gotten into a little bit of trouble with the wrong kind of man. And Joan Bennett ends up covering up a body, and things proceed from there. It's another one. It's hard with these noirs sometimes because, you know, it's a murder mystery and you wanted to,
She thinks her son has committed a crime, and so she's trying to do her best to cover up.
Her daughter.
Her daughter, and then a grifter comes in and tries to extort her for money.
Oh, well, you wrapped that up much better. A
Check that
grifter.
out, yeah. A
Well,
grifter.
I think he's, yeah, I mean, he's
That's
sort of
good.
like a
Leave it, it's a grifter.
mobster
Used a
character.
big
But
word.
Joan Bennett stars as the mother, as I mentioned earlier, and she's one of the many reasons to watch this movie. This is a fantastic movie. Why this is not available on DVD widely, I do not understand. Max Ophuls is the director. We've reviewed a few others of his movies, which we've thoroughly enjoyed. The Earrings of Madame Day, which is in all the top 100 lists. I think this one should also be in a lot of the top lists. It's from a cinematography standpoint, it's perfect. From an acting standpoint, it's perfect. From a set design standpoint, it's perfect. Camera movements, perfect. Script, interesting, complex. I mean, for 1949, I mean, I was just, you know, there's so many layers to this movie, and in fact, it's so good that they remade it into the movie called The Deep End with Tilda Swinton. So, so if you've seen The Deep End with Tilda Swinton, try to find The Reckless Moment, because this is the original, and it's fantastic.
You know, and I rewatched The Deep End and listened to the commentary. Hey, check that out. And he actually does mention on there that it was a remake, because when we saw this film, I thought, this is The Deep End. I didn't know it was a remake, or I'd forgotten. The Deep End still holds up, thank goodness for Tilda Swinton. But The Reckless Moment, this is, I mean, we literally had to borrow it from a college across the way. We had it only for like a day or something. We had to sit in a little tiny
watched the viewing room
because it was this weird DVD. There was a different region. I mean,
well, it's available in Europe. In other words, it's an English DVD that we watch. And so if you have an all-region DVD player, you can order this movie and watch it. But
if you don't, we have to go through some great lengths to sit and watch this movie in a closet. We literally sat and watched this in a closet. And I ain't been in the closet in a very long time, if you know what I mean. So that was kind of difficult. But the film is completely worth it. I would watch it standing on my head. You know, her performance, and now I love her career because she was blonde in her 20s, and she played the vixen. Then she went brunette, and she played the mother. And then, you know, then later on in her career, she was in Dark Shadows and different other things like that. She's fantastic in this movie. And with James Mason comes in, who's just absolutely
James Mason, yes,
is fantastic. He's the guy who coming in trying to extort her for money, but he's a sympathetic person because he sees her as this wife. And her husband, who's overseas, and so he can't get in touch with them. They're trying to extort him for money, and so you really get to see her being a mother. Not only is she being a mother hen protecting her child, but she's doing everything she can to stay, you know, being a mother. She's constantly getting after children. Put your shoes on, doing this, and she's still being a mother, and she's trying to handle this. Daughter is, you know, perhaps killed somebody, and now someone's trying to extort her from, you know, it's just all these things going through her mind, you know, and of course, you know, the biggest sweat she breaks is she pulls out a cigarette and smokes the cigarette. But it's a great
She smokes constantly throughout the film. In fact, to the point where James Mason at some point to her says, "You smoke too much." Which, you know, in 1949, if they're telling you smoke too much, you smoke too much. But she uses the cigarette as a prop. I mean, she's always, and she grips it in this very tight fashion. She looks like she's almost about to break it. And I could see why they thought of Tilda Swinton, because she tends to play sort of tightly wound women, you know, sort of very tense type characters. And so it was perfect for Joan Bennett. Of course, we saw in Fritz Lang's movie Women in the Window. And so, you know, she did a great job with noirs. And James Mason worked with Max Ophuls in another film I got to see that was only available on VHS called Caught, and it with Barbara Bel Geddes. You remember Barbara Bel Geddes from Hitchcock, from Vertigo, and various other movies. And she stars in that, and that was also a fantastic one, also a noir, also Max Ophuls, not available anywhere. So I wish Criterion. They've put out a couple of his movies. That's how Earrings of Madame Day was available, but they should do a box set of his stuff, and I would probably get it because I thought The Reckless Moment was just. There were some of the camera shots that we watched it together, and you were like just stunned at some of the camera shots.
Well, you'd never seen anybody come down the stairs into such a complex framing with everything that was going on. I mean, it's just an amazement, and just how we glide through the house. And of course, then there was a little commentary, kind of an introduction at the very beginning, and they talked about the house, the maid, and her role, and I enjoyed that as well. So there was another one with, even though it didn't have a feature-length commentary, there was an introduction
by Todd Haynes.
There we go, Todd Haynes. There we go.
Who lives in Portland, is a Portland filmmaker. So there you go. There's a sort of a local-ish connection.
Yeah,
so there you go.
It's a fantastic film, and I just feel bad that people will have to. You're really gonna have to dig people to find it.